Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. Just wanted to let everybody know we're doing a few changes over here on our channel slash podcast. We will no longer be, excuse me, underneath the title of Broke Boy Media. We decided to change it over to Film Optics, and optics is spelled with it's OPTIX. There's a lot of broke boys out there, we found out, especially on YouTube, and we kind of wanted to differentiate ourselves a little bit more, and we weren't very attached to the name of Broke Boy Media, so we decided to, make an executive decision to change the name. We're still going to be on the same podcast. All of our previous reviews will still be there. It's just from this day on, will be known as Film Optics, and we're going to be reviewing Parasite today, so that will be really, really exciting. But I just wanted to let everybody out there know. So this is officially our newest, the new podcast. We're keeping the same logo, everything like that. I just have to change over some Twitter links and links all together, but on Twitter, we're actually changed over right now to Film Optics, or at Film Optics in general. So you can find us there. And yeah, let's just get on with the show in general, because I normally have like a little bit of a cold opening of the trailer, and then we get into like our little intro. But let's just get into the intro.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
I have a tender spot in my heart for cripples, bastards, and broken things.
What about second breakfast?
I have an army.
We have a Hulk. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
This is a tasty burger.
And tell him to suit up. I'm bringing the party to you.
We're back. We're here, Devin. We're here. We're
no mishaps.
No mishaps. No mics dying on us this time. It's all right. But so as I mentioned before, we are going to be reviewing Parasite today. We both saw this over the weekend. We actually also saw The Lighthouse, but I don't know if we're going to be recording for that one. Well, I saw it. I don't know if you're going to like it or not. It is a very divisive film in general. But anyway, let's just get into our review of Parasite here. So a quick synopsis would be the unemployed family that's the main family, and I'm probably going to butcher the name of the family. It's the Keitakes family.
Well, I think their last name is Kim.
Kim
Keitake is the dad.
Okay. So let's just, for easy sakes, let's just say that it's the Kim family, and you also have the Parks family. So all unemployed, the Kim family takes a particular interest in the wealthy and glamorous Parks family for their livelihood until they get entangled in a unexpected incident. This was directed by Bong Joon-ho and stars Kang Ho-sung, Yo Jung-jo, and So Dam Park, and a few others. Those are like the easiest ones that I can, pronounce without butchering their names. But as I was saying before, before our previous recording got shut off, what were your initial thoughts about this, Devin? While seeing the trailer, like, did you have like high expectations, I guess, like from the word of mouth more than from the trailer in itself? Because this movie honestly came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, it's actually crazy that a movie like this even has this much of an impact. Like, it's just a South Korean movie that came over here and it's just tearing everything apart and has reckless abandon for everything in its path. And all the hype that was building, all the people on Twitter that were talking about it for the past like few weeks.
Literally everyone on Twitter has been talking about it. It's like, man, oh man.
It was hard not to have some excitement build up after all the popular and good opinions people have.
Yeah, that is true. And it's kind of hard not to go see a movie like that too, especially when everyone's, talking about it so much on Twitter in general. But I mean, right now it's sitting at a 99% on Rotten Tomato for the tomato meter, and then the audience score is sitting at a 93. Total count for verified ratings for audience score is up to 307, and the total count for the tomato meter, it's excuse me, 233 so far. So I think it's fair to say that this movie is doing very, very well. I had no clue what this movie was even about. I didn't even watch the trailer. Everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna go see Parasite. I'm like, you know what? I keep hearing about this, and I think when a film generates more popularity from a word of mouth on Twitter or honestly any social media, then I think it's gonna be a good seating, a good screening in general. But so let's just dive right into
except for Aquaman.
Yeah, except
Aquaman had a lot of word of mouth.
That was it did really well in China, and I was like, okay, like the Chinese market is huge, so it should do really well. Some people liked it. I feel like more people didn't like Aquaman than the people who actually liked it. I was like, I mean, we saw an early screening of it, and I was like, well, thank God for that, because I was not feeling that movie whatsoever. So
even like looking at this poster for the movie, it just looks so crazy.
Yeah, it looks very eerie, and honestly,
it makes you think it's a horror movie when it's not really at all. But...
yeah, because like on the bottom left hand side, you have one of the characters' feet's kind of just there, and then you have like the dad, and then the rest of the family in general with this like black bar over their eyes in general. And I was like, whoa, this is like pretty freaking weird. But I was actually very skeptical to go see it just because it was a film that was all in subtitles, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to. I mean, I can watch a film with subtitles, but usually I think the last thing, it was kind of like The Farewell, but The Farewell is kind of like 60-40. English was about maybe 40% of it, and then 60% of it was, them speaking in Chinese. And I was just afraid I wasn't going to be able to follow along the story because I had no clue what the story was about before going into the theater and to begin with. And I was just, the theater that I wanted to go see it in isn't necessarily my favorite. It's kind of like in a old high school auditorium. It's a very historical building here in town, but it's just it's not my favorite. And I was actually a little disappointed that it wasn't showing at AMC, at least in my area, but at least I got to see the film, and that's all that matters. So let's just get into spoilers here and just our general thoughts really quick. So I guess the cons of the movie, like what would you, I guess, well, so the genre of this is saying that it's like a dramedy, like I think that you were saying before, like a dramedy comedy
with a splash of thriller.
Just
a splash.
Yeah. So I guess like what attracted you to see this movie besides the word of mouth?
It was pretty much just word of mouth. Like we never would have heard of this movie if it didn't have all this traction. Like we never would have known it existed.
That is very, very true. Yeah, I think I totally agree there because, like I said before, and I apologize if I keep repeating myself, knew nothing about this whatsoever. But so when it comes, I believe you were saying for the previous recording that we had before it got cut off, you said that the father of the Kim family was your favorite.
Yeah, he definitely grew on me throughout the movie because he kind of started off quiet and wasn't really doing too much, but then obviously towards the end he definitely picked up some steam.
And smells like, what was it, beets or whatever, red onions or whatever they were saying. The subway, yeah,
everything.
He's so conscious that, and also, and just to let you guys know, we're just gonna hop into spoilers as well. So if you haven't seen the movie from here on out, turn back now, then come back and listen to the rest of it. But yeah, him smelling like the subway really got to him apparently. And then him killing Mr. Park at the end. I was like, oh my gosh, like was trying to reach for the keys that's underneath the old housekeeper's husband because there's a freaking bunker in this house, right? And it's just like no one knows about it besides the old housekeeper. But I really liked how the name of the movie kind of like, this entire family takes over. The son meets his one of his good friends comes over and he's like, hey, I can. He's like, I'm studying abroad, so I need you to help teach the Parks family's daughter how to speak English. And
I guess that's like that might be like the only negative I can think. I want more information on that friend that.
Yeah, and he never showed back up. He's like, I'm going to study abroad, and when I come back, I'm going to ask.
Did he have his whole family? Did he have his whole family working there too? Was it like the same thing that he
right?
did?
Honestly, I have no freaking clue. That's a really good question because it seems like it's a little bit more of a trend, especially with the Kim family in general.
One of my favorite lines is in the beginning. He said the mom was simple.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I think one of the funniest things when I first knew that this is going to be a really good movie is when when the son of the Kim family was looking for Wi-Fi, and then he goes literally to the end of the reach of like their bathroom, and
they're literally like praising Wi-Fi,
right?
Like
and there's this dude who keeps peeing on the street. That was really funny. But I think that the number one defining moment is when they're coming by for like extermination for bugs, and their window is open, and then someone's like, close the window, and the dad's like, no, don't close it, like because they have all these like bugs and roaches and
stink
stuff.
Bugs.
Yeah, stink bugs. He's like, it'll just pour into the house, and
he's like free
extermination or something like that. It's so funny, and I think with this being a Korean film, with the subtitles, I think it does make it a little bit funnier because I don't know, it's just the humor in this was great. It never skipped a beat. I never felt
and with the extermination scene too. It's kind of funny because it kind of like it kind of worked on them because they're like the parasites, so they kind of got them out of that house.
Yeah,
and then into a different one. That's like how extermination could work.
So let me ask you a question. So if this movie was just on Netflix like Roma, would you have given it a watch, or would you have preferred to see it in a theater with other people?
I had a pretty interesting theater experience actually because right next to me there was a family who brought their, I want to say it was no more than 10-year-old child in the movie.
Yeah, this is not a movie for 10-year-olds. It is rated R, and I didn't know it was rated R until later. Yeah, that's
the whole second half of the movie. The mom was covering his eyes, like.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of obviously like with the killing and whatnot towards the end, but even like the sexual references when
that was weird.
Mr. and Mrs. Kim were like pretty much just doing their business on the freaking couch while their son's outside playing cowboys and Indians, or he loves being dressing up as an Indian in his teepee. I was like, that was like, yo, what? Was not expecting that whatsoever. But I mean, I don't know, man. There's so many funny parts. It's so much of the story. It's very, very grounded, and the son brings in his not his daughter. Wow, his sister.
As soon as he brought in his sister, you could like see where it was going. You're like, oh, that's funny.
Well, yeah, it was funny, but like I didn't think that the sister was gonna bring in the father and the father's gonna bring in the mom. I thought it was just gonna be the brother and sister, and then I started obviously catching on. Was like, oh, okay, she's gonna bring in the dad because they're all clearly looking for work. They're like dirt poor. And just
she did that other driver dirty. That was wrong.
She really did, dude. I'm like, dude. She's taking off her underwear. I'm like, what is going on? And she's like, oh, I planted a seed. And then the fact that she literally just Googled, what was it, art therapy for the Park's son.
I Googled art therapy and just
made up the rest. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Like, I definitely think she was my favorite character. Honestly, I think the daughter was of the Kim family. But yeah, I mean, honestly, they did the old
they
old
set her up.
housekeeper too.
They set her up having tuberculosis.
Oh
and
my
it worked.
god.
That was crazy.
Literally, they just shaved off like the fuzz of a peach and just like kind of sprinkled it on her back side so that she'll get this any allergic reaction because, you know, whatever. Like, I guess clearly she was very allergic to peaches. Even when they're fighting over the phone.
Yeah, he like rubs it all. She rubs it all over her face.
She runs to the kitchen and she just takes a whole entire bag of peaches and just like shoves it in her face.
That's quite the weapon.
I was like, oh my gosh, that was fantastic. Oh my gosh. So, are there any cons that you wanted to get into? I know we've been talking a lot about how much we like the movie and whatnot, but was there anything else?
I mentioned the only one I could really think of was not getting more information on the friend that came in the beginning.
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree with that. I don't think the pacing was off. Besides that con, I mean, everyone, pretty much had a nice little arc there with, either them being alive or dead. I seriously thought that the Kim's son was dead, because I mean that dude literally came up out of the freaking basement,
hit him with that rock
twice.
That second one, I was like, oh no!
Literally, I was like, oh man, like it just fell apart, and it's. I mean, I guess they kind of found out, that the Parks family kind of found out that they were, the Kims were all family in general, because even when the Parks the son was saying that they all smell like each other, and they're like, oh crap, we all use the same soap. But I mean, honestly, I feel like, especially in their neighborhood, honestly, like, I feel like a lot of people just use the same kind of soap anyway. Like, if you just walk down the street and ask any guy, like, yo, what kind of deodorant do you use? Like, I would say like 9 times out of 10, they would probably say like Degree for men.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, but anyway.
Don't use Old Spice.
Yeah, don't use Old Spice. No. Don't use it at all. I had a little bit of issue with it last year, and I stopped using it because I noticed, for those of you really quick, there's Old Spice is being sued for like $5 million or something like that, because it's leaving a lot of burn marks or rashes underneath, men's underpits or underarms, whatever you want to call them in general. But yeah, don't use Old Spice. If you do, go buy yourself some new deodorant there. But was there anything else?
I guess one other con I could think of is it was pretty weird that Kevin, the son, was like making out with the Park daughter because she was underage.
Yeah, that is very true, because it was funny because his friend said the same thing he did. He was like, as soon as she graduates from high school, as soon as she goes to university, I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. Literally the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, she's 17, but I didn't know how old Kevin was in general.
They just say he's college age.
Yeah, so. And I knew that he was putting off college or didn't really want to go. I think, oh my gosh, really, really quick, another funny part or a really good part of the movie when Jessica was forging the university letter in general.
Yeah,
everyone was like so impressed. He's like, why don't you do this for a living? Why don't you actually go to college? He's like, shut up. But man, I'm trying to think what else. They didn't want to go over too much here, but I guess, did you want to just go right into scoring?
Got any positives?
Any positives for me in general?
Yeah, we went over like the negatives.
Oh,
so we should go into the stuff we liked.
Oh yeah, we can do that. I'm sorry, I thought that I'm just like rambling on here. I actually really liked the ending in general, where Kevin pretty much saves up money to buy the house that that the Parks used to own, just for his father to.
Well, that's what he wants to do, but then they show at the end that he hasn't done it yet.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was like a flash forward into the future.
I don't know.
And then it kind of flashes back to.
I took it as like as he was writing, he was envisioning this, and then it showed him back at the old house.
Oh man, you know what? Well, that just ruined it for me. I'm just joking. Because I thought it was more of a they're showing what happens in the future as he's like writing to his father in the past for the the Morse code underneath the steps. Which was really freaking freaky, honestly.
That was heartbreaking that he had to do it every day, just hoping his son would see it.
Yeah, like everyone's like, he just disappeared into thin air. I was like, oh no, he is in that bunker. And it's like, how do you survive down there in general?
They showed him having to like sneak up to the fridge whenever the family was away. He's like, they don't only drink bratwurst and beer.
Oh yeah, the German family was it? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I really like the fact when Mrs. Parks was explaining why their son, why they go away for their son's birthday, is because the old housekeeper's husband kind of just like went up the stairs one day to try to get food, and he thought he saw like a ghost. And that was the reason why they go away for his birthday every single year.
And he had a seizure too, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is what happened at the end too.
See, at first I thought he just passed out like, oh my God. Like, this guy literally just came up and just...
With a knife and blood all over his
just started stabbing people out of nowhere. But like, that can happen anywhere.
He did look like a ghost.
He really did. And it's like, yo, where did this dude just come from? And then... Mr. Kim kind of just had his breaking point with, his new boss, even though, I mean, I was kind of confused. I'm like, okay, so did you kill him because he said that you smelled bad, or was it something more? Because it seemed like something
it was definitely something more.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, it was kind of like they were setting up the undertones for class being an issue in this world, obviously.
That is very true. Yeah, because
he kept explaining how like people that were like them smelled all the same and smelled terrible. He's just like looking down on people that are less fortunate than him, and especially when they were all hiding under the table, they kept talking about how bad he smells, and the dad was just kind of like,
oh my God,
he was taking it so hard, it was just hard for him to hear.
Yeah, in general, then it's kind of like, and then especially when Mrs. Parks was in the car with him, and then she kind of like pulls down the window, and he like smells himself, and it like, yeah, it definitely drives home with him for a little bit there, and even like towards the end with the birthday party when he's dressed up as like an Indian with Mr. Parks, and he's like, yeah, like it's humiliating, but like Mr. Parks is like, hey, like I'm paying you more than your average fee. He's like, just think of this as work, whatever. And I think that was kind of like the...
they just aren't viewed as humans.
Yeah, in general. Because, I mean, literally, they didn't know how to cook or clean. Like, even when they came back from, the camping trip. And
yeah, what was the food that she asked her to make?
She asked for ramen, but she said ramdon.
And she was like, what? She was like, what the fuck is ramen?
I was like, yeah, it's ramen. It's ramen. Yeah, man, there's so many good parts, and like this movie is just so well constructed together, and I just absolutely loved it overall. Like,
and then I think like at the end, like the real breaking point for the dad was when the other dad comes over to get the keys, and like there's people all around him like that need help and saving.
Oh yeah, and then he like kind of plugs his nose and like moves the guy over.
The fact that he takes his time to plug his nose and make a face that it smells weird when there's all this stuff going around.
Yeah, like literally, there's like a massacre happening in your backyard right now.
He's like, all you care about is the differences between us and how bad it smells. You don't care about anything else. And he just snapped.
Yeah, pretty much, because Mr. Parks was asking Mr. Kim to get the keys, right, to throw to him, or was he asking to drive him? It's like, bro, there's like 5 people like injured or just dead in your backyard. What are you doing?
Mr. Kim is like trying to save his own daughter, and then the other dad just doesn't care.
Yeah, like, do you think that the Parks family like I mean, obviously, I'm assuming they ended up finding out. I think, yeah, they did because Kevin got probation for forging that university signed letter in general. So I'm assuming that they knew, and then the Park family obviously moves out, and yeah, like they literally didn't know how to do like a single thing. I think the kids knew more than the parents.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, I guess with all that being said, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we get into scoring?
I have what might be considered a bit of a hot take.
Ooh, let's hear it.
I think the things that the messages this movie was trying to get across as far as social differences goes, and like class differences, I think they did a better job of expressing it than the Joker did.
I had a feeling you were gonna say that too. I mean, because Gotham City is Gotham City. Like there's always some type of political struggle, or just it's a crap town in general. But obviously, people live there, so it's kind of like it's a metaphor. But I think I would definitely agree with you on that, because obviously with the Joker, it's focusing on pretty much one person. I mean, it kind of focuses on the people around him, but it focuses on how the system fails one individual versus an entire family in Parasite. So I would definitely agree with you on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and for Joker, that they were much more heavy-handed about it. Like they actually had like dialogue at the end that was just like explaining what was going on.
Yeah,
which I think a lot of times when your dialogue has to explain what you're trying to portray, it doesn't come off as well as just showing it in the movie.
Yeah, or like if you're going to show it in the movie, make sure that it's a way that people can easily understand. You don't have to constantly
explain it to everybody.
Yeah, be like, hey, like just in case you don't know what's going on, this is this and this is this. Yeah, I know what you mean. It literally happens in a lot of these movies, because I feel like a lot of these directors, I mean, like people in general out there are not smart. Let's just put it that way. They lack a lot of common sense. But yeah, man, I totally agree with you on that, to be completely honest. But hey, I
also love the dynamics between the Kim family and then the other family of the underground husband and the cleaner wife.
Yeah, the housekeeper. Yeah,
it's like what happens in Social Divide is the people at the bottom end up fighting each other because they're trying to get to the top, and the people at the top end up benefiting either way. So it hurts everybody at the end.
Yeah,
and that's what happened in this movie.
Yeah, it's literally just a vicious cycle, because I mean, who ended up in the basement at the very end, which was was Mr. Kim in general, which
and even the guy in the basement in the beginning, he worshipped the dad of the Park family, because when you're that down low, like you just get desperate, and
yeah, I mean,
you start to believe things that aren't really true or aren't really good for you.
Yeah,
because he worshipped that dad basically. Like even at the end, when he got stabbed, he was just like kneeling over him.
Yeah, some weird stuff, man. It's the idolization of other people sometimes can be very dangerous, because you start to view as them something other than human, and they're
and despite them not having your best interest in mind at all.
Yeah, not at all. No. I honestly think that the two Parks kids had more of a better interest in mind for people. With Jessica and Kevin that they were studying with, versus the the parents of the Parks family, because they were just so oblivious, literally just like living in their own small little world in general. And even when just really quick, when Mr. Kim was trying to recruit his wife, essentially, trying to tell him all about it, and he's like, eyes on the road. Like I get it, you don't want to crash, but at the same time, he's trying to explain something to you, and you're kind of just like shrugging it off, because they're just number. It's just a number figure.
And he also, the dad kept saying throughout the movie, he kept talking about not crossing the line or whatever. He kept saying that over and over again. Like,
yeah,
it's like he just thinks they're lesser than him, and that they shouldn't cross a certain
threshold,
a certain part. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's really something to think about. And honestly, I would say, if this, if this comes out on Blu-ray here in the U.S., we'll definitely pick this up because this is easily my top 5. From what
I'm really looking forward to Oscar season because there's gonna be so much hype.
And and there's so many good performances coming out. I mean, minus not counting like Jexy or Countdown. I don't want to say joke films, but the films that people aren't generally interested in, like Black and Blue. I will never go see that movie. I will never watch that movie. No, it just does not interest me whatsoever. But there's so many good, movies coming up this year, and I'm seeing early press screening of Harriet next week on this coming up Wednesday. Seeing Mother's Brooklyn, which looks really interesting. Now that October was kind of a dud. I'm not gonna lie, just because not everyone's into those types of horror films. Excuse me.
There really haven't even been any horror films this year in October.
Yeah, I swear horror films kind of just come out when they want to, and it's like, oh, it doesn't really have to be around Halloween, which makes sense. But I mean, now I think we're getting into the good stuff like November, December, and then I feel like January is just going to be.
I really hope Parasite gets the Roma treatment, where it gets nominated for Best Foreign Film and Best Film.
I really hope it does
deserves
too.
It.
I still haven't seen Roma.
Me neither.
But I know one of my buddies down here, he's like, I literally tried watching Roma like 10 different times. And it wasn't that it was bad. He just couldn't get through it. I think he stopped around the same part every time. I tried
it a couple times.
Maybe I'll try it out today. Maybe not. I don't know. But did you want to get into scoring here really quick?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess, just out of 100, what would you give this film?
I'm just gonna copy Metascore and give it a 95.
Oh wow! Look at you.
I think that's around what I gave Joker. So
I think you're right. I will want to say I'm just gonna give it the old. I think this is gonna be my first one, which it's the old 99 because I couldn't really find. There's always flaws within every single movie, but I really did enjoy this, and after the discussion that we had, it kind of changed my mind for the score a little bit as well. So it's a darn near perfect experience that I think everyone should watch. And, even if you're not the biggest person when it comes to subtitles like me, honestly, it makes you pay attention to the movie more.
Yeah. Like I told you, I never see movies that are full of subtitles. I guess the only one that was even close was The Farewell, but that was probably mostly English.
Yeah, and I really did enjoy that movie, and I was like, you know what, let's give this a shot, and I'm glad that we did. But
it really was a roller coaster the whole time.
You didn't know how it was going to end. It was not predictable at all. It wasn't just like a romantic comedy kind of like, oh, I'm like, only a few people find out at the beginning, and then everyone knows at the end, and then it's like, okay, what the worst thing is that could happen is that they get fired. And it's like, okay, that's not much of a repercussion. No, there was definitely more of a repercussion here.
Yeah, I actually really like the Tarantino comparison you made as far as the ending goes, because that really is how he usually does it with his endings.
Yeah, it was.
Because everything just comes to a halt and stuff gets crazy.
You're going to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood again for those extra 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. We are now. Yeah, I think I'm just going to wait for it to come on Blu-ray. I really don't know why they didn't just say, hey, here's the extended edition. And
Endgame really started a bad trend with that one.
Yeah, they really did. Actually, no, it was even before Endgame. A Star is Born. It came back out in theaters. They're like, oh, come back out and see it for an extra 10 minutes. Like, some people might, and I get why Avengers did it because they wanted to really, really be Avatar. But I mean, come on, people. That's just.
I just hope they don't keep doing it because it's annoying.
I agree. Like I have Spider-Man Far From Home, and I'm like searching through the menu to see if I can find this extra scene. I'm like, why didn't they just add it into the Blu-ray? Like, oh, do you want to watch the theatrical version or the extended version that has a little bit more tacked on? It's like that's so much better and so much easier. And, not a waste of everyone's time because it's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like you really, I mean, unless you've only seen it like once, you really think people are going to go back for like for sit down for 3 hours just to see another extra 10 minutes of stuff?
I mean, there's that
online?
Alita guy who saw Alita for 100 times.
That was maddening and just insane in general. My God. But yeah, I guess this is our first successful Film Optics podcast.
Also, our first like real foreign film.
Yeah, because we didn't review we didn't review The Farewell, and we did not review Roma either. So yay on us. We're so
I feel so cultured. Yeah.
Right. I'm just gonna go buy some Rosetta Stone, start learning some Korean, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this movie with the subtitles off.
Yeah.
So I can really learn. But as always, Devin, thank you for coming on. And everyone at home, thank you for listening. This was a little bit longer of a review, but I'm glad that we did it in general because there was a lot to talk about with this movie. The movie generally, I think, ran for like, 2 hours and 15 minutes around there. So definitely a deep dive discussion was necessary for this. But just to let you guys know that you can follow us at Film Optics over on Twitter. Optics again is spelled OPTIX. And you can also listen to this recording or this podcast in general on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor as well, and the whole 9 yards, Stitcher, you name it. Pretty much on every popular, we're on every popular platform as of right now. And I guess we'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to leave a rating if you like this either on iTunes. It really helps out. We really want to get some honest feedback about our podcasts and our reviews moving forward, because we would like to expand, and we want people to hear what we have to say about these movies. So yeah, you can also follow us. I think it's still under Broke Boy Media on YouTube, but that's gonna quickly change here within the next few days. Just have to change a few things around, but I guess that's it, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.